Hello，大家好。今天很高兴，就是我们请到了这个 Mike，然后 McKenna，然后来给大家做一个这个分享。然后我们还有一些小伙伴可能会陆续加入，然后我觉得咱们可以在比如说是在5分钟后这个开始。然后 Mike McKenna 之前其实就是在我之前其实就是索拉纳基金会的这个开发者关系的同事。然后之前的现在在 QuickNode，QuickNode 大家也知道，可能很多小伙伴在用他们的这 RPC 服务，其实做的也非常非常厉害。然后本身这个 Mac 也是个超级大佬。对，今天这个如果大家如果记得有印象，就看过最早期的这个索兰纳 Bootcamp 的话，这个 Mike 老师其实是他们第一期的 Bootcamp 的第一位讲师，就2024年就是最火的那一期的这个 Bootcamp。然后我们这次很幸运的去邀请到这个 Mike 来去给大家做一个预测市场的因为最近预测市场是因为世界杯的关系也非常火热，然后索拉纳上面其实也出了很多这个非常厉害的预测市场。当然这个什么样的都有，然后有什么 Word，有什么这些都挺厉害的。然后今天想跟大家去可能由麦克老师来去给大家去讲，对，另外一个麦克老师给大家去讲这个预测市场，我们可以怎么构建。然后可以带大家进入，大家有什么交流的问题的话，也欢迎跟麦克老师去讨论。然后一会儿的话，我可能就要就是切成这个英文问了。那大家一会儿问问题的话，在这个也随时可以开麦问，或者说是在这个聊天和这个里面用中文或英文都可以。然后之前因为咱们第二期的这个 bookcamp 就是拉的比较长，因为这个其实就想这个视频的话，就放上去，大家都可以去看。然后呃我们的这个嘉宾就是邀请的话，其实就一期一期可以变成一个长期的一个可以要跟大家去交流的一个活动。然后可能之后也会请一些 founder 朋友们来进行，比如对大家去，不管大家是做这个之前的话，可能是 trading 为主，就是如果是做这个 trader 小伙伴，可能有些 trading 的项目。来去做分享。然后那现在的话也会有一些这个就是做项目的小伙伴，就是他们如果感兴趣的话，也会有一些 best practice 来宣讲。然后之后的话，可能也会有一些 founder 朋友们来去，如果大家有感兴趣做项目的话，也会有一些这个希望也能给大家带来一些启发。呃，OK，Thank you。啊、对，然后这个刚才那个麦克老师的话说这个，因为我们现在都在纽约这边，就是有一个索拉纳生态的一个挺大的一个叫 Z Forum，就是特别厉害的这些生态的应用开发者，就是其实跟咱们做过宣讲的那些讲师们，然后也都会去，然后还有一些这个核心这个就是核心这个 SDK 的开发者。然后也都会去，然后就是我们也会在这个下次月会的时候给大家去介绍，就是有什么在纽约这边发生了什么新的进展。最近比较大的一件事情就是那个OpenGlow 逐渐开始升级，然后大家会发现这个validator 这边不需要 voting 费了。然后这个 OK，我的废话就这么多，然后我看大家小伙伴也不断进来了，我就用英文来切换给大家去介绍了。All right. Thank you guys for joining our workshop. It's such an honor and such like pleasure to invite Mike McKenna to be the instructor of today's workshop. So maybe I can give a quick intro about Solar and what is a little bit background about this Solar bootcamp developer bootcamp. So Solar is a decentralized. So we try to make a decentralized community that owned by everyone and like for everyone. That it's a like greater like it's a Chinese speaking community to support both developers and builders and traders and no matter what you are to be part of the community to succeed in some way, no matter what you want to be. And this bootcamp, like the goal is actually this is the second phase of this developer bootcamp. And initially, it's actually a Chinese version bootcamp. So in the first phase, we invite a bunch of very interesting and very cool instructors to introduce the basics of Solana tech. And the second phase is more focused on like application and traders because we got lots of good feedback from phase one that builders they wanted to like they have three career goals. So one is they want to build a project definitely as a builder, or second is that they want to be a trader. And third is that they want to find a job. So according to their needs, we designed this bootcamp And very luckily, we can able to like it's got very good feedback from the ecosystem. We keep getting like good feedback, and we are such an honor to invite ecosystem builders to come to our like workshop to give introduction and like workshop to our audience. And today is so happy to have Mike. Mike is very senior old friend actually, and he was also like a Solana Foundation as a developer relations engineer. If you guys remember, actually in the early like 2024, early 2024, the first bootcamp, actually the first instructor who introduced, who actually curated me is Mike. So it's such an honor like to have my mentor actually here. Yeah, so like maybe Mike, can you please like do a intro first, and then like we can just move on to the official part. I see there are more participants coming. Also, like in addition to the Zoom, because like in China, like many users like they don't use Zoom directly, like they because they need a VPN, but we will have a WeChat live stream to have people or Bilibili live stream to have people like to visit.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. I didn't realize that that was that you had watched that boot camp. So yeah, I think of Solana really as an extension of finance. So I got into finance very young, maybe 20 something years ago. I was telling my dad to invest in IPOs, etc. I worked at a hedge fund, a very old hedge fund in Britain. They actually used to make rum for the British Navy 300 years ago, and they started selling sugarcane futures as a financial product 300 years ago because if there was a storm and all the sugarcane wasn't able to be harvested, they would still have some money because people brought it in advance. So, yeah, I went from a hedge fund to an investment bank, built an equities trading platform, and kind of avoided this world of blockchain for a very long time. I kind of didn't like a lot of the hype. Weirdly enough, I'd done a lot of cryptography, I'd done a lot of finance, but eventually I had somebody who I knew from the Node.js community who got really into Solana. Specifically, he was using it to trade, but it was also I think I'd used Ethereum like I don't know, like back when it was created, and I didn't know if anything was happening. Like I couldn't. I'd made my transaction and I just waited forever. I found out in kind of November 2021 that there was like a fast, cheap blockchain. I could do things and it responded instantly. And maybe 6 months later, it was my full-time career. Me and a friend made a startup that had a Solana wallet. Um, we kind of didn't time it very well because FTX ended up happening about 6 months in, and so we were waiting on a check from an investor that they promised us, but the check just never came. But I ended up working in Solana Foundation. Did it was the ran education for them, so basically creating content that would be trained by that I would train myself, testing it with people in the room, but then would give it to people everywhere from Ukraine to France to Singapore to teach in different parts of the world. My focus on Solana, and you'll see this in this presentation today, is very financially oriented. It's about what people's incentives are, how they're making money, why they're participating in these markets. It's still going to be very technical. And I think with that in mind, should we just start, Mike?
Yes, that'd be awesome. Thank you for my
Excellent.
introduction, Mike.
Cool. I'll make sure this is, I'll share my entire desktop and then play slideshow, and then we should be able to full screen that. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to talk about betting markets today. Things like Polymarket or Kalshi. Those are very popular right now. They're kind of entering mainstream culture in a big way. a funny story is there's a lot of bars in New York who, when the local team wins the basketball, they give everyone in the bar free beer. And the way they do that is they have a bet against the team. They have a bet in favor of the team on Kalshi or Polymark or any one of these betting markets. So they offset the price of the beer for all the customers with the win from the betting market. So that's what we're going to create today. And betting markets really have three kind of components to them. The first is that they let a crowd bet on an outcome for a popular event. So each event, which could be who's going to win the basketball, who's going to win the election. I think that this time we're doing what is going to be the most popular movie. Each event has different outcomes. So for the election, it would be the different candidates for the election. For the basketball, it would be like the outcomes would be win, lose, or draw. Here, the outcomes will be different movies. Once people provide their bets, we consolidate those into a pool, and then when people win, they are paid back what they originally bet plus their share of the pool from the losers. And you'll see all of that today. Now, I hate tutorials where someone sits there on YouTube for 40 minutes just reading out code to you and explaining why they added a question mark at the end of that Rust statements. So there's full code for this that you can follow along. If you click that QR or scan that QR code on your screen or just visit that URL. This is a repo that QuickNode maintains. It's basically a newer version of the Solana Foundation repo, but it has a lot more financial programs. So if you ever, it has the betting market we're working on today, but also things like order book exchanges, AMM exchanges, vault strategies, which is like an on-chain fund that people can invest in, any kind of financial program, including betting markets, are on this repo. And the really cool thing about this repo is that when a new version of Anchor comes out, I think we're on 1.12, but as soon as the next one comes out, we update every program in this repo to make sure it works. We do the same thing with other Solana frameworks as well. So if you find this useful, and I hope you do, give the repo a star. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, if you want to follow along, like if you want to follow along with the code, open up that repo, click on betting market. That's the code we're going to be talking about. If you don't want to, if you just want to learn the high level concepts of what that code is doing, you can also do that. I'm fine either way. The second thing is that we live in this world of AI. That's also one of the reasons why I don't want to read out the code to everyone because we're not worrying about syntax errors anymore or the exact way to kind of convert something to bytes in Rust. We're using AI to do that for us in most cases these days. So QuickNode also has an AI skill specifically for financial programming. So a lot of that is rules that come from before blockchain about how to handle money correctly. It's also things about how to handle money in an environment where you can't use floats. You have to do everything with integers. It's about how to do things in a mathematically correct way, in a way that is secure for a Solana program. A lot of people have like AI skills for Solana, but they're more how to use Anchor. This is how to use Anchor, but specifically how to use Anchor to build an order book or investment strategy or any other kind of like a betting market, any other kind of financial software. All right. Uh, Before we start, I'll just also talk about what you should know and what you'll learn. I think from what Mike said earlier, I think you guys all have this stuff covered. So you should know that users interact with Solana by making transactions that contain many instructions, that Solana programs have these instruction handler functions, that programs save data in PDAs, and those PDAs are the addresses are from seeds. And we'll show you what's in the PDAs and the seeds and the instruction handlers used in this program. What you're going to learn is how betting markets work as Solana programs. And specifically, we're going to talk about how like business concepts map to Solana accounts, because we've previously mentioned that every event has many outcomes. We're going to show you how to model that from a Solana program point of view. And users may have many bets on different events. Events need to store funds for all those bets, and we're going to show you how to do that today. So this is our Solana curve. And this is Maria. She has a regular Solana account. She's got zero point 0.1 Sol, and she has a USDC associated token account or just token account with $1,000. And Maria wants to make money. So Maria is going to go and create a betting market. And so here is the betting market. It's deployed to an address at a public key. And it has a bunch of functions inside, which we'll call instruction handlers. And Maria is going to make money by getting a percentage of the fees from the losers on the betting market. So the first thing she's going to do is run an instruction handler called initialize config. So she'll send a Solana transaction off to our program to run initialize config, and she'll specify some options. Initialize config is going to create a Solana PDA that's off the curve. And so that you'll see the point is off the curve. It's going to specify that Maria is the admin of the market. She's the one that the fees are going to be paid out to. The fees will be paid in USDC. And we're going to give her 200 basis points or 2% of the loser's tokens. So that the loser's USDC or the loser's bets. So Maria now we now have our config. Maria is then going to create the event for people to bet on, which is, the election or the sports game, or in this case, we're going to create a movie, it's a little bit small there, but I need to put a lot of things. This diagram is going to get big, so the text is going to be small. I'm sorry. So we're gonna create our event. And with a event ID, maybe just 0, just some event ID that isn't already taken. So that's going to be the seeds for this PDA. And inside that, we'll have a description, which is the top grossing film or the biggest selling movie of July 2026. The amount of outcomes, I think it should be 0 there. It says 2. It's going to be 2 in future. The things like the distributable losing pool, the fee, which is just copied from the default. And yeah, this is and the status is open. In other words, this is an event that people can now bet on. We're also going to create somewhere for funds to be stored for people who bet on this event. So this is an associated token account that is owned by our program. And the event PDA is going to be the authority for that vault. So this is just going to be a token account. We'll store bets here in future, and our program can move funds from that token account because it runs that PDA. So it just specifies the seeds of the owning PDA, and it can spend funds from that account. That's very similar. If you did the escrow program, it worked exactly the same as that. Mike, is this all making sense so far? Is my pace good?
Yeah, I think everything is very good. Oh, by
Excellent.
the way, let me do one quick thing. just one sentence. 各位，就是如果大家需要那个字幕的话，可以在右下角更多有一个这个字幕。Yeah, 这个 Mike, I just let people know that there's they can open the translate actually. It's a
Oh yeah,
okay. Yeah,
cool.
cool. Please continue. Thank you.
It probably helps to be able to hear people in your own language. So now that we have an event, we need to have an outcome for that event. That the outcomes for an event on a betting market are if it's an election, the candidates, if it's the sports game, win, lose, draw. In this case, our outcome will be a movie. So if you think that Toy Story Maria is going to give people the option of either Toy Story 5 and The Backrooms as two different movies. So each of those has an index associated with them. They have seeds of the outcome, the event ID, and just a counter. They're going to store the total amount that has been bet on the film and the count of bets that will go on. Um, so this is Alice. So Maria's done her work now. Our event is ready to be bet on, and this is Alice. Alice also wants money. She has zero point 0.1 Sol and also 1,000 USDC in her account. And Alice is going to make money or wants to make money by betting $300 on Toy Story 5 being the number one movie for this month. So Alice is going to run place bet. The font's very small, but you can see that on the betting market. That's a instruction handler in our Solana program. So Alice will send a transaction that has an instruction that calls place bet. And place bet is going to create two accounts for Alice. They're both going to be owned by our program, but I'll show them near Alice just to make it a little bit more visual. The first is a user account, just with Alice's own account address as the seeds. And inside that, we're going to just store a list or in Rust, a vector of Alice's bet. And that's literally the address of the next account, the one at the bottom there, which is Alice's bet. We've made a Solana PDA for that. With the outcome, she's bet on Toy Story, so that's outcome 0, and Alice's address, which is whatever Alice's public key is. Inside that, we store that Alice has bet on this event, the amount of money, and whether she has claimed her winnings if she won. We'll also move $300 from Alice's account to the USDC vault. Our program is allowed to do this because Alice signed the transaction that included the instruction that called place bet. So because of that, Alice has given our program the ability to withdraw from her account into this vault for the duration of the amount specified in the transaction for the duration of that transaction. So Alice now has a balance of $700 and we've collected $300 in our vault, or 300 USDC. Doesn't have to be USDC. Again, this could be any token, but yeah. This is Bob. And guess what? Bob also wants money. He has $1,000 as well, but he agrees with Alice that Toy Story 5 is probably going to be the biggest movie this month. So Bob runs place bet, specifies different arguments, specifies 100 USDC, will specify the address of his USDC account, and as long as the transaction, including that instruction, goes through, for example, as long as Bob has, the 100 USDC that is necessary to make this bet, then we'll create a user account for Bob that's going to store a list or vector of his bets. And the same thing, we'll make a bet account for Bob, just storing details about the amount that Bob has bet, 100 USDC, on the outcome he bet on, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. Bob, just like with Alice, we move the funds from Bob's USDC ATA into our Solana vault. And our vault now has the sum of Alice's and Bob's bets. If you're following along with the code, all these handlers are in like finance, betting market, and it'll be like source handlers, or source instructions or source handlers, one of those. All the different. So this is what you'll see if you open up the code, for example, for place bet in source instructions. I think it'll be placebet.rs. Again, I hate reading out code to people. I'm not good at live typing. And also, I think you guys are probably at a stage where you know what Solana code looks like. It's going to be sitting there and like filling out structs a bunch of times for each of these and doing token transfers to move things into the vault. So I hope you appreciate the speed and don't mind if I don't sit there reading out code to you. I think it's probably more important that you understand this from a higher level point of view, and then you can look at each of those instruction handlers and see the code for yourself doing what we're talking about here. So we now
Thank you.
have what?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's like I saw there's a question in the chat
Mhm.
about event oracle. Sounds like he's asking what's the event outcome oracle.
Yeah, so in this case, it's a little bit simplified. So it's a good question. Um, uh, in this case, it's a little bit simplified in terms of Alice is the one who settles the event. She's going to manually specify that, sorry, Maria is the one who's going to settle the event. So Alice and Bob and everyone else need to trust Maria that she has settling the event with the correct outcome. Um, the better kind of less a better way to handle that involves more verification and less trust would be to have Peth or Switchboard most likely um, provide a Solana account that has a fee a fee of this result. So an Oracle is going to sit there. Generally, the big thing with like places like Pith and Switchboard and these other kind of big commercial oracles is not so much the technology, it's more the actual trust levels involved. So people know that Pith is a large company. It uses, if there's a price and that comes from three different sources, they will use a majority of those sources to like determine the price. And if all three are different from each other, they have some way of like handling that discrepancy. And if they're not confident in the result, they'll say that they have a confidence interval that comes out. Just to avoid focusing on oracles for now, we're just going to have Maria manually determine what the event outcome will be later on when she runs the settle event instruction handler. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Oh
Cool,
no,
cool.
it's more of a third-party connected problem. Yes. No, it's actually
Yeah,
simple.
so yeah, like a switchboard or a switchboard or a Pith or another big oracle would effectively be consolidating data from third parties, um, having some policy to recognize if they're different from each other, and being able to yeah, yeah, exactly that. It's a third party who's providing that information. Um, so yeah, we could probably do like a separate 1 hour just on oracles because they are pretty interesting. So it's basically this is really kind of a cut down example where you have to trust that the market or the person running the market is going to set the outcome correctly. Cool. So we now have two bets on both on Toy Story, $400 sitting in the vault. And this is Carol. And Carol, oddly enough, also wants to make money. Yep. Some window management here. There we go. Cool. So Carol disagrees with Alice and Bob, and she thinks The Backrooms is going to be the biggest film of July 2026. So same thing here. Carol bets $200, 200 USDC on Backrooms. We now have $600 in the vault. Carol has a user account with a vector of her bets, which is just a list of Solana addresses containing her bet accounts. She has one bet account, which stores her bet on Backrooms with her $200. Um, the event is finished. So say it's the end of July, it's the start of August. Um, when the event happens, when the basketball game is over, when the election is counted, in this case, when the month is over and we know what the most popular film is, we have an instruction handler called settle event. First thing it's going to do is move 2% of the losing fees to Maria. So in this case, we know that Alice and Bob, oh yeah, Toy Story 5 was the most popular movie. That's probably very relevant, I should say. Toy Story 5 was the most popular, was the winning outcome. That's what Maria ran settle events specifying that Toy Story was the most popular film. So Alice and Bob have won and Carol has lost. Carol bet $200 and she was the only person who bet on backrooms. 2% of $200 is $400, which is why 2% of the losing fees are going to Maria, and that is $4. So Maria has just made $4 from running this event. Each of the winners run claim winnings. This is the way that most like betting markets do it. You kind of log in and you have some kind of UI that makes a transaction that calls claim winnings. You could also send funds straight to people's accounts. I'll talk about that later. Um, and in this case, so Alice runs claim winnings. She originally bet, what was it, $300 on Toy Story, and her payout will be her original $300 plus her share of the distributable pool. You'll notice the math is a little bit weird. It's better in finance to always multiply before you divide, because you get less rounding errors. By keeping the numbers larger, you're less likely to end up with kind of small like remainders being thrown away. You'll see that in the Solana finance skill if you use it. So I would actually calculate this like slightly different with the division and the multiplication, but it's always better in finance to do the multiplication first. That is, in this case, Alice had, well, we'll calculate it here, $300, her original bet, plus she 196 is the distributable losing pool. And then you divide that by Alice's chunk of the losing pool, and you end up with $447. So out of that vault, she'll get $447 back. You can go to the program if you want to see the math. It's probably a little bit more interesting there. And she'll make a profit of $147 from that. And it's basically the same for Bob. I have bothered making slides for Bob just because I ran out of time, but it's the exact same thing. Bob's stake will be a little bit smaller. It'll be his original, what was it, $100 bet, um, uh, plus $100. I'll send it in the chat. I've got it in a little file here. But in fact, I can go and reviews, scripts, AMM betting market. I'll just do Bob reviews. Oh, stakes, tune ends, reconcile, one chain. Oh, so there we go. I'll throw that in the chat because I hate to just do a little bit of window management. Bigger again. There we go. So yeah, Bob's $100 bet plus $100 times 196 divided by 400 equals $149, which will actually be everything that's in the remaining pool will go to Bob. Um, and view. And sorry, play slideshow. So that's it. There we go. Cool. And yeah, it works exactly the same for Bob. Carol will get nothing because she lost her bet as well as any other losing bets are distributed amongst the winners. And yeah, Maria got money for running the event. Alice got money from winning. Bob got money from betting on the right outcome as well, and Carol lost money that was distributed amongst the other three players in this betting market. Um, that is actually it. Do we want to do some questions? And I can dive into the code as well if people want a little bit more detail. It's exactly what you've seen here. It's just written out in Rust. Sure, Ranko, what's up? You can throw the questions in the chat or come on camera. I'm happy either way. Yeah. Whenever the outcome is clear, how much times it's oh, that's a good point. Uh So in this case, we're running claim winnings, but once they run claim winnings, they'll get their winnings in, I would say, 2 to 3 seconds. That's like average time for confirmation for a Solana transaction in like a front-end wallet app. They use like an optimistic confirmation, but it's like some large percentage of validators agree on the new state of the chain. So it'll be 2 or 3 seconds after they run claim winnings. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like so 400 milliseconds is a block is 400 milliseconds. There's a little bit of lag as like blocks get there's a new block every 400 milliseconds, but those blocks need to be distributed to different validators. So end to end, I would say 2 to 3 seconds. That's obviously going to go down a lot more with Alpenglow. Finalization times are going to come down much shorter, but right now it'll be 2 or 3 seconds. The other thing that's worth talking about is that if we wanted to, we could actually remove claim winnings and we could make what is called a crank, which allows somebody else to come in and manually send winnings to people. It's a way to kind of, it's something that anyone can run. Like it's another instruction handler that anyone can run, and it will always send the funds to the correct destination. So some random person on the street can come in when an event is closed and just initiate the program, sending the winnings to whoever it is, and the person on the street gets like a penny, some tiny amount of lamp ports for running that. There's a program called Tuk Tuk. If people have been to Thailand, those little those little carts that can assist with that, and it creates like scheduled tasks on Solana. And all those tasks do is they run instruction handlers in Solana programs. Um, but it's a nice way for people to create tasks that need to be run at particular times, and other people to run those tasks for a very small fee. In this case, the task is just simply moving the funds into the winner's accounts. Any other questions? Cool. All right, I'll show a couple of other little bits and pieces. Just one sec. I'll go play. Oh, it's already playing, I think. There you go. Cool. So I just wanted to do a little quick blurb about QuickNode. I hope you found this interesting. So we are the fastest Solana gRPC provider. There's another QR code on your screen that'll go to a live benchmark. We have accounts at every other RPC provider in Solana. We're also the fastest gRPC provider in most cases. We do everything else, pricing APIs, swaps, KYC. Your QuickNode account can do swaps through like Titan or Jupiter. Get live price feeds, anything else you want to use to build. If you want to do KYC to make sure that your, customers are, you're not violating any laws around sanctions, etc. We have all that. Anything else you would want to use to build a blockchain program. In the United States, we're used by like some of the biggest banks in the country, some of the biggest European banks as well. I don't know about any Asian banks, but I can try and find that out. Yeah, like one of the major credit card companies also uses us for all their blockchain work. We support more than 80 chains, but Solana is our biggest chain by revenue. And we have a bunch of people. I came from Solana Foundation. My colleague Marshall came from Jito. My other colleague, Mike Hale, came from Coliseum. We have a bunch of people who are really well connected in the Solana ecosystem who are running, working on the validators and sending patches. And we're really into Solana as a company. We're used by huge Solana companies like Pump.Fun uses us, FOMO, Phantom, like, really products that you've used that do things on the Solana network. Typically do that by talking to QuickNode. If you're interested in seeing what we're doing next, or you just want to learn more on Solana development, we also have financial videos every day on our X account. And I know not everyone has access to X, but this account is a dedicated account just for Solana from QuickNode. And we do new financial videos every day. Um, like I think this morning was something on burning tokens. Yesterday was something about rounding errors and fees. We're really interested in showing you how to build like, kind of not rather than another token launchpad. We're really interested in like people who want to build exchanges, who want to build like financial products, borrow lend markets, really anything to do with moving money on Solana. I also mentioned let me sorry, Zoom really slows down my machine. I don't know why. Um, just one sec. I'll just throw this up again as well. If you didn't get it before, you probably also want to check out this repo because there we go. Is it open? Good. All right. Uh, So this repo, it's literally tested all the time. It's always in the latest version of Anchor. I originally created it because sometimes the foundation one was often broken or not ready for a new Anchor release. And originally I was sending patches to that, but I wanted something that was a little bit more up to date. And for every type of software, escrow, lending, order book exchanges, AMMs, prop AMMs, vault strategies, betting markets, perpetual futures, fundraisers, any kind of Solana program where there's examples of that in Anchor on that repository. I think it's the best place on the internet for, I think Mike Ma mentioned before that you guys were really focusing on like the finance and trading side of things. I think this is the best place on the internet to learn those things. There's literally any type of financial product on Solana. It'll unit tests. It'll have mathematical proofs or formal proofs. And very soon we want to have a video for all of these as well, which is what I'm working on with the presentation you saw here. So I hope you find that useful. I'll stop screen sharing for a second. And yeah, if I'll just read this comment from Manko. Thanks for the clear explanation and answering questions. Yeah, awesome. If anyone wants to get in contact, just Yeah, sure. Espoir, or Espoir. What's your question? Yeah, exactly, Mobius. It is standard practice for standard programs for any DeFi utilities. Um, it's funny. I think sometimes the word DeFi is really like maybe a little bit overused. People are like everyone just thinks it's all like token launch pads, and I'm kind of trying to make the point that like Solana financial programs are actually more similar to non-Solana financial programs. They've got the way that you handle math or the way you calculate the value of shares for a liquidity provider, and the way you handle rounding. A lot of it is like things that come from general financial software. Um, so yeah, it's that repo has examples of everything, and you can really that companion AI skill as well is really useful for has a lot of that logic from those programs distribute like turned into a set of rules that you can use to build your own thing. Um, hmm. I don't think it's built for two movies that win. That's a good question, Espoir. What if you had multiple movies that win? I mean, the nature of the question is what is the top grossing film? What is the film that's making the most money in um in July 2026. So you're pretty much always going to be in real life, going to always be in a situation where there is one winning film. You'll never have a film that makes, like you might have a film that makes $250 million and 1 cent, and another film makes $250 million and 2 cents. The one that made $250 million and 2 cents is the winner, and the next one is the next one didn't win. So the program's written so there's a single winning outcome. If you look on that struct for the event, there's like it's just a single index for a winning outcome. Um, and therefore the winnings, yeah. So that the short answer to the question is that yeah, the anything that's not the number one is considered a loser and therefore part of the losing pool. There can only be one winner. This is actually important, like to think about these things though, because if you're betting on a basketball game, what like it could be like you know the Mets versus the Rockets. I don't know anything about basketball. I don't even know if those are teams. But what if there's a draw? So it's a good question because maybe not with like movies, but with other things, it's not team A wins versus team B wins. It's team A wins, team B wins, and there's a draw. So you do need to consider like the real world kind of implications. In this program, you would make sure there is a specific outcome. If we were doing basketball, there should be an outcome for the draw. So you definitely should think about real world potential like outcomes like that. And you need to have a clear definition of when and all this kind of stuff. Kalshi and Polymarket have sometimes been in trouble because there was someone declared a war, but they didn't declare a war. There was just a conflict. So is that a war or not? Like all this kind of stuff. So you need to be very clear with your users about how you determine what the correct outcome for an event is, or as somebody mentioned earlier, you can have a third party, like let make that be Pith's problem or Switchboard's problem or whoever else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, topic slash event, exactly. So, the way I do it is you have an event with multiple outcomes, but you can use different words if you want to. But yeah, the important thing is you have outcomes to reflect everything. I think that's it for questions. So I hope that was useful. Uh, 170,000 transactions or 13K active users per day, around 220K messages. Sweet. Yeah, of course. DM me on X. We can talk about all that. Like, QuickNode loves to talk to people who are doing big things on Solana. So yeah, I can definitely help you out with that. Yeah. I read DMs, so it's all good. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any feedback, just yeah, QuickNode Solana on X or just in my own account, which is just my name. I'm just write it in the chat here.
Great, thank you so much, Mike. Such an honor to invite you here, give a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Uh, Such a legend. And also like thank you everyone for joining us and giving feedback and asking questions in our workshop. And it'll be great, Mike, if you can share your slide. And I think probably there'll be like people are asking about it after this. And also this like workshop will also be recorded and by Mike's permission, if it's possible, like we can post it to our different platform actually in the
Yeah,
communities.
I'd love to. Let me do YouTube, but like if you've got internal, because I'm gonna fix a couple of the slides and do some tweaking, and I'll have a version on YouTube. But you can absolutely, I give you permission to record this and post this. You know, I there's a billion apps in Chinese speaking countries that I have no idea about, and I'm sure there's a bunch of them that do videos. So yeah, like that'd be really good.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, definitely. I also share the link to you. And also, so
Mhm.
like I think for now it's like people use like Bilibili and also a bunch of community platform for that, like Open Build, like HackQuest, and we call it Denglian actually. That's for but thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's
Cool.
all for the workshop. And once again, thank you, Mike. If you are interested in like learn more about this repo, I heard like I saw like someone send the link of this repo. I'm also learning to dig into that. It's an Anchor program of betting market. And also like we will share the slide and videos after that. All right. Looking forward to meet you, like Mike, in the
Cool, cool.
offsite.
See you soon.
Yeah, great. Goodbye,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.